All right, guys, this is tip number 7 in creating executive level focus for Q3. Obviously, you can use this anytime in any part of your life, but this tip is really what separates those who are stellar professionals who are able to get so much accomplished and those who have a lot of excitement and a lot of intention and a lot of desire to be able to accomplish, but get caught off guard when they sit down to do the work. And if you've followed me for a while, you've heard me talk about this 7th tip in the past because it is so significant and such a breakthrough when people realize it. But most people don't. In working with execs and CEOs and sales managers, when we sit down and I teach them this one tip, most are completely unfamiliar with it. But it is such a game changer. So this tip is that the success is found in the struggle. Now, I know we talk about that a lot, like, hey, don't give up. But what I mean, I'm talking about a specific moment of struggle, a specific moment in time when, even when we know success requires struggle, we give up because we don't understand where that struggle lies, or we misinterpret what this version of struggle actually means for us. So oftentimes when we sit down to go about a project and we've got everything all aligned. Let's say you've done day 1 and day 2 and you're done your nightly shutdown ritual. You're ready for 90 seconds to flow. You have put your phone blocker on and your email tools so you're not distracted with that. You've done all the things we've talked about over the last 7 days, and you sit down to drop into what you're hoping will be a great flow session, and you start to feel a level of agitation. It feels even frustrating. For me, it feels like I'm stuck in traffic. What I mean by that is I want to go, but I'm stuck, right? My brain wants to rev, but I feel like I'm stuck in place. And that revving is all the distractions that flood your brain of, oh, go check your email. Oh, see if that message happened, which is one of the reasons that we use all these other steps to prep us for this one, is because those are some of the big things that we will give into when we hit what is called the struggle phase in the flow cycle. So the key thing here is to understand that it is absolutely natural. It is your biology, and it is proven through neuroscience that when you sit down to do deep work and work on a hard project, even if you've done all the other steps up until now that we've talked about, your brain will start to create agitation. And if you don't understand that agitation is actually the gateway to flow, it is legitimately the gateway to getting into flow state of being able to do deep, long, sustained, highly creative problem-solving work, is this agitation, this struggle phase. You can't get into flow without it. Sometimes it's a very short time period, but almost always it will never last longer than 12 to 15 minutes. So if you can recognize this agitation I feel, this desire to go check things, I better go do this one little thing before we start to, this project. Oh, what if I need to check this before? I would hate to get involved in this, deep work and then not realize I needed to do X, Y, and Z first. Like all those things that flood your brain as something that you need to do before the deep work starts, as your brain working against you in predictable agitation that we call the struggle phase. And so if you can just say to yourself, reframe it, basically, is one of the things I have my clients do. Reframe this as saying, I recognize I feel agitated, but what I know is that this means I will be dropping into flow very shortly, and I will have that blissful overwhelming feeling of concentration and focus if I just sit through this. So there's a couple key things that you want to do once you've recognized and even anticipate that it's going to happen, so that it's easier for you when it comes. You can just reframe and understand and work through it. The second step is you don't actually want to fight this. Fighting it actually just creates more and more agitation. It stirs up more in your brain. Instead of fighting it, just recognize it, like I said. Reframe it, like I said. But then the third thing is, after we're recognizing and reframing, then what we're going to do is just wait it out. Now, I go into detail on clinical ways, like clinically proven ways, that you can overcome this struggle phase. It's actually used in addiction therapy and other things as well, so not just in flow science. And I'll put the link below for a free workshop that you can go through. Just the workshop, the tools, everything. I'll put the link for access to that. But in that, I go into detail about how it's important not to try to push it away, but just to accept it and let it write its way out. Because like I said, it will not take longer than 15 minutes. Rarely ever does a struggle phase take more than 15 minutes. So if you can just put up with it and keep pressing through. Remember, if you've done step one, you will have already have micro little daily agenda laid out. And so you have the simplest little micro steps in front of you, so you don't have to overthink it. This uncomfortable feeling will be easier to get through because you're not having to also muster your focus to figure out what to do next. You already have it right in front of you because you did step one in our 7 tips. But with that being said, if you check out that link, you'll actually see very step-by-step detail on how to ride, or it's called surfing the urge, how to ride that out with some clinical cognitive behavioral therapy tools that I teach. And they're super powerful. But then the next thing is if, let's say you hit 15 minutes and for whatever reason you're still in the flow, that struggle phase. I can't imagine that happening, but if so, sometimes we just need to change our setting. So really super important thing to do here is you're just going to get up and you're going to walk through a doorway, just the closest doorway, maybe even go for a walk outside, and then you're going to come right back. But this is like a 5-minute at the max thing. And you are not going to pick up your phone. You are not going to have a conversation with anybody. You are simply looking for a reset. The reason that when we get up to go do something, as soon as we walk through a doorway, we forget what we're getting, and we have to actually walk back to that room and walk back through that doorway to remember, is the doorway effect, which for whatever reason as humans literally is a reset button for our brain. And so this can be a really, really simple tool that if you're locked into, no, I can't get this done, I can't get this done, I can't get this done. Do not give into the struggle. Don't give into the distractions that are bubbling up. Don't pick up your phone or check your email or do what all of those distractions were. Instead, if it's gone 15 minutes and you feel like you're nowhere closer to dropping in than before, then simply get up, don't touch your phone, don't talk to anybody, walk through the doorway, walk right back in and sit back down, and you'll find that restart happens, and that can be super helpful. One other thing is our brains during this struggle cycle will bring up things that are important. They will feel like, oh my gosh, you're right, I do have to do that. I should do it right now. A good example is I was getting ready to go visit my new grandbaby in Arizona, and I kept putting off getting the airline tickets and the room because I knew it was going to take me a little bit of time to sit down, figure out what the best flights would be for the days that I had available to leave and come home, and then have to figure out rental car and all that kind of stuff. And that kept bubbling up. Hey, you got to do that. Hey, you got to do it. Of course, it wouldn't bubble up at a time I could do it. It would bubble up when I was sitting down to do flow. So it can be helpful to not have your phone, because remember, we've gotten rid of your phone. So just have a little notebook that sits beside your desk, that like one of those little pocket notebooks even, or a Post-it note. I have like the lined Post-it note pads, the kind of, I don't know, what are they, like maybe 4x6 lined Post-it note pads. And I will just write it down, that whatever comes to mind. Get airline tickets. Tell Jay about the sprinkler head not working. Don't forget to take out X, Y, and Z out of the freezer. Like those little things that bubble up. If it's something where I'm like, oh, if I forget that, it's going to screw up the whole rest of whatever, I'll just jot it down, and then it's now dumped out of my brain. It's not circling anymore. It's no longer begging for my attention. And I can just look at that to-do list when I'm done after my recovery phase and go do the things that it makes sense to do right then. So hopefully that helps. Like I said, this is one of those things that lots of resources, lots of great tools that I have that are free and available. But if you can just, even if all you do is recognize that this is just the way my biology works. There's nothing wrong with me. This isn't a sign from the heavens that this isn't the right time to sit down. This isn't a sign from the heavens that I actually needed to go find more information or talk to more people. This isn't any of that. This is technically my biology working. That's all it is. And if I don't want my brain and my emotions to rule me, then I'm just going to rule over it by recognizing it, sitting through it, and then knowing that flow is coming, reframing. That once I learned this, and I learned that this agitation that always makes me feel like a failure, because to be honest, it always made me feel like I was failing. Like, what's wrong with you that, whatever. And I'm guessing it probably does you too, because most of my clients, the majority of my clients would report the same feeling. But once it no longer was a sign of me being a failure, that I had these, this agitation and it is very disturbing, agitating feeling to me. And I could reframe it as being the gateway to exactly what I needed for my next step in my business or for my next project to be successful. As soon as I could reframe it as this is success, this is a failure, you guys, that was a huge breakthrough for me. And so hopefully this will allow you that reframe and that breakthrough as well. And I say hopefully, but I know if you guys apply this, especially if you go check out that link I'll include in the show notes, you will absolutely have huge breakthroughs. Remember, the other 6 steps in these 7 steps that we've covered this last week or so, they actually will help support you getting through the struggle phase more successfully. So check out the rest of the playlist we have here. The steps all stack on top of each other, so you're going to get more out of them if you go check out those videos as well. But if nothing else, walk through the steps I've told you today and go check out the greater details in the video in the show notes, the workshop in the show notes. And I hope you have a very blessed and very productive and very prosperous Q3. Be blessed, you guys.